What's up everyone? Coach Joey coming in again. I wanted to kind of extend on our skill video series that I started working on a couple of weeks ago. I missed last week just because I had some personal things going on. So I wanted to come back in today and talk about a really common movement that most of you are going to come across in CrossFit, and that's the burpee. So most of you are pretty familiar with that. If there's any newer members, hopefully you could take a little bit away from this video, and any current members, maybe we could find something that has been inhibiting you as far as efficiency in the movement. So as far as the standard of the movement for the burpee, typically what we're looking for is we want our chest and our hips to make contact with the ground, and then we need to return to a standing position with our hips open and then jump and clap to finish the movement. So what it looks like is as I come down, chest and hips open, jump and clap, all right? So I want to talk about some of the common mistakes that most of you will typically make in the gym as you're going through this movement, and then we'll typically talk about ways that you could improve your performance when it comes to this particular movement. So one of the most common faults that I see when it comes to the burpee is people will lower themselves down with their hands in a locked out position and essentially do a strict push-up before they come up. So what that looks like is they come down to the ground, they kick the feet back, there's a pause, they come down, they push up, they bring their feet back, and then they jump and clap. Now, according to the standard, that still meets the standard of the burpee, but that uses a lot more energy because you're lowering yourself to the ground and then doing a strict push-up again. So one of the ways that you can improve that, or two of the ways that you can actually improve the particular movement, is on your way down, you want to do a controlled fall. Obviously, I don't want you to have your hands behind your back and drop down to the floor, but you're going to have your hands out in front of you to kind of absorb your body falling down, but you don't want to create a negative movement or the lowering portion of the push-up. So from here, I bend at the waist, my hands are in front of me, I kick my feet back, controlled fall. Now, instead of doing a strict push-up to come back up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend in my hips, and then I'm going to actually pop my hips back underneath me, and then jump and clap. That's one of the more common faults with people who first start CrossFit, just because they're a little bit uncomfortable dropping down to the ground in that controlled fashion. So there's never anything wrong with practicing a burpee, as odd as that seems, all right? The second mistake that's pretty common when people first start doing burpees is they'll have their feet and their hands touching the ground at the same time on the way down and on the way up. So what I mean is you'll actually lower your hands down and my feet are still on the ground, and then you kick your feet back, and then you bring your feet back while your hands are still on the ground, and then essentially you're squatting on the way back up. You really want to try to avoid that as well, because that slows down the movement and it requires a lot more energy. Even though you're still using your hips, there's still a pretty big influence from your legs because you're compressing yourself and you're actually standing up. So it uses a little bit more energy to complete the movement that way. So a tip that you can focus on is make sure that when you're going down or when you're coming up, that both your hands and your feet are not on the ground at the same time in those two positions. So from here, my hands are down, I'm not touching the floor, I kick my feet back, then from here, my hands are down, I bring my feet up, and my hands are up, and then that's gonna allow me to keep the movement more in my hips. All right, you guys, so now that we've talked about some of the basics when it comes to the burpees and some of the things that some of the newer athletes can work on, now I want to talk about some more advanced efficiency tips. So this is going to be somebody who's either A, already comfortable with the burpee coming into the gym, B, you've been CrossFitting for a little bit of time, or C, you're really proficient with the burpee and you're looking for ways to kind of improve your time when it comes to the Metcon inside of the gym. So there's a couple of different ways that you can actually improve the speed or the efficiency of the burpee depending on what's going on. And again, this is all going to be in relation to your capacity and movement, how comfortable you are, and if you're going to be able to apply some of these tricks when it comes to this particular movement. So the first thing, obviously when it comes to CrossFit, if you're trying to improve your time, the best thing to do is to increase your cycle time in a movement and decrease the amount of time that you're resting in between. So the burpee, the fastest way to do burpees is going to be from a plyometric perspective. So that's going to be where you actually bring yourself to the ground, and almost at the same time that your body hits the ground, you're going to plyo yourself off of the ground and come back to your feet. And this is what it's going to look like. So you're right back up as soon as you hit the ground. Now, there could be some strength deficiencies or just movement deficiencies that could keep you from doing that, so you may not be able to do that right away. So when you're trying to improve your time and you're trying to find something that's going to keep you consistently moving, there's a few different things that you could work on. The first way is down from a plyometric burpee, is where you do a burpee where you actually let your chest hit first, and as you come down, your hips are gonna open and you're bringing yourself off of the ground as soon as you come back into that position. And what that looks like is this. So as I'm hitting the ground, I'm immediately bringing my chest back up so I can bring my hips back to that closed position to bring myself off of the ground. And then the last way would be is if you're letting your feet come down first and then you're kind of rocking, but then you're immediately coming right back up. So what that's gonna look like is this. So those three things are gonna help you improve the cycle time in your burpee as you're going through that, all right? So as you guys are working on this in the gym, think of some of these key components. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And if you see me in the gym and you have any questions, just feel free to grab me. All right, you guys? Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys later on in the gym.